got their strengths as well, so it's going to be a very fine balancing act.
And Japan have never lost a competitive match in Saitama. Your view of the outcome, Spider?
There's always a first.
Yes.
I think the Aussie boys can really... I think we can get a draw. I just think it's going to be a tight match. And I think if we can hold on and be really close to the Japanese for the last 20 minutes, I think we'll put them under all sorts of pressure in the last 20. So I'm tipping we can get a draw out of this match.
And after the deplorable first half against Oman, the start for Australia is all important, Driller.
The start is key, because not only do we need to settle well, but also you can put Japan off after 2 losses. If they go a goal down, the crowd will start sensing, okay, it's now 3 games in a row, things haven't gone their way. That might play in the mind. So for us, yes, crucial that we get a good start, because we don't want another repeat of what happened against Oman. But this lineup is very encouraging, and the longer it goes without any real threats from Japan, the more the boys will settle and the more that they'll get into the game, because Spider knows as soon as you go to a stadium and you've got an intimidating atmosphere, those first few minutes can be very, very crucial, very intimidating, and it's how you get through that initial stage can determine what the outcome will be.
We can see David Gallop there, part of the official party. He was tweeting a bit of a selfie photo today from Japan, which was fantastic to see him there. Australia shade Japan in the head-to-head, 7 wins, Japan 6 draws, so close between these 2 great nations in Asia.
There's nothing been between the 2 sides, and you have a look at all the competitive matches that we've played. I think there's been a lot of draws. I think every time Japan has beat us in recent time has been in extra time. So I think if we can just hold on, I think they'll feel the pinch here. I think Australia might be in for a good night.
Okay, let's now pause for the anthems. Then it's over to Simon Hill and Andy Harper for the commentary from Saitama.
Please stand for the national anthem of each country.
はじめにオーストラリア連邦国歌です。
The national anthem of Australia.
椅子に続き皆様ご清唱ください。
The national anthem of Japan. Ladies and gentlemen, please sing along.
Japan and Australia standing shoulder to shoulder on the road to Rio. 3 games in 2 weeks with 1 huge goal for the Socceroos. The countdown to Brazil starts right here tonight in Saitama, and the numbers are not stacked in Australia's favour. 63,000 in the stands for a start, at a venue where Japan have lost only once in 16 internationals and never in a competitive game. Japan are at full strength. Keisuke Honda was on light duties yesterday after arriving late following his exertions in the Russian Cup final. Shinji Okazaki too, but they both start. And the headline news for Australia, Tommy Orr's inclusion on the left and Mark Milligan into the centre of midfield. Alex Brosk and Miller Jedinak both ruled out with injury. Matt Mackay starts at left back despite the claims of Michael Thwaite. Lucas Neal and Sasha Ognanovsky resume their partnership in the centre. Ognanovsky, Wilkshire and Cahill all carrying yellows into the game. Another will see them ruled out against Jordan. Our referee today is from Bahrain, Nawaf Shukrala, a 36-year-old legal researcher. And if you are looking for good omens, then the only time he's officiated an Australian side in Japan, the Australian team won, that being Adelaide's 2-0 win over Gamba Osaka in the Asian Champions League last year. Well, Japan needing just a point to reach their 5th successive World Cup finals. There is their coach, Alberto Zaccheroni, who quelled rumours of discontent at yesterday's press conference when asked about a rumoured players' meeting to discuss problems brought into focus by the loss against Bulgaria. He merely said players having meetings is normal. And when Zaccheroni and Holger Osik first met on the benches at the Asian Cup in 2011, Osik's stock was at its high point. Now, you could say it is at its nadir, with many suggesting a significant defeat for Australia tonight will see the German replaced after less than 3 years in charge. Well, such has been the demand for tickets for this game that the nearby National Stadium in Tokyo is full as well for this evening's game. They're watching on big screens. The Socceroos very much cast in the supporting role, but it may well just suit them with all the pressure on the Samurai Blue, who, lest we forget, have just lost back-to-back games for the first time under Alberto Zaccheroni. So away we go in this wonderful theatre built for the 2002 World Cup. This is all about the 2014 World Cup, and Tommy Orr stealing possession early for the Socceroos. Japan scramble it away, and it really is, Andy Harper, the moment of truth, you could say, for tonight for Australia. The whole campaign condensed into a 3-game, 2-week shootout for Brazil. This is the toughest test of the lot.
And this is going to be one of the great sporting amphitheatres in the world. Electric atmosphere. Noise, you can't hear yourself think. Goodness knows how the players are going to communicate verbally out there. And the big early question, how quickly can Japan get into their rhythm? And how effective will Australia be at stopping that progress for Japan?
Well, here's one of the key men tonight, Keisuke Honda. Such a talented footballer, carrying a bit of a thigh problem into this game. Alberto Zaccheroni saying he may not last the full 90 minutes. He doesn't necessarily need a full 90 minutes to make an impact. Yuto Nagatomo stopped in his tracks by Luke Wilkshire. Nagatomo, another one of those carrying an injury to the game with that knee problem. This is Okazaki trying to get a metre on Sasha Ognanovsky, and now there's some room here for Tommy Orr, who's seen plenty of the ball in these early stages. Tim Cahill foraging for possession earns Australia a throw-in.
Well, we've had to wait about 2 minutes to see what we might expect to be the pattern of the game. Australia pressing, Japan looking to control possession high up the field, and then when Australia can pinch and launching a counter-attack. Japan's first 2 matches in this final stage of qualifying, Simon, with rained goals for the Samurai Blue, 6 against Jordan, 3 against Oman. The big test for Australia is to make sure they use their experience and don't be as naive as Jordan and Oman were here. Early mistakes opened up, Japan ripped them to pieces. They certainly have that capacity, but it's a different proposition for Japan here tonight. Such a wonderful team, and what a rivalry that has developed between these two.
There's Ryuichi Maeda. 2 questions about his inclusion, not in the greatest of form at club level for Jubilo Iwata, who joined bottom of the Japanese J-League. Tim Cahill caught offside. How important are the 2 wide men for Australia tonight going to be, Andy? Robbie Cruz and Tommy Orr.
Well, enormously. Not only defensively, Simon, because so much of Japan's attack, as we see now, is built around overlaps on either flank. But they're the real weapon for Australia in counter-attack, so it's a dual role for both Cruz and Orr. And Tommy Orr, so inexperienced at this level, but has been involved early with a couple of forceful runs and passes. It's great for him to cut his teeth early in this magnificent stadium in Saitama.
This venue out in the wilds of Saitama, farm fields all around. It's like a spaceship that has been plonked right in the middle of it. This is Yasuhito Endo, 33-year-old veteran from Gamba Osaka, now in the 2nd division in Japan. Tim Cahill, always the Australian talisman when it comes to finding goals, particularly against Japan. 2 back in Kaiserslautern in 2006, of course, in that famous 3-1 win. 2 more in Melbourne in 2009. Japan know all about him. How to stop him is a different matter. This is Endo. That breaks for Honda. It was closed down quickly by Lucas Neal. Honda again. Just try and find those little pockets of space in between the lines for the Australians. And his probe draws the foul on Shinji Okazaki by Sasha Ogdanovsky. And a free kick in this sort of position with the likes of Honda and Endo in the Japanese side is not really what Holger Rosick ordered.
No, you're certainly a little bit of a nervous moment coming out for the Socceroos. It is quite some distance out, but Honda can hit them. 29 metres to be exact. He can hit them, and he hits them with that flat effort through the ball, and it wobbles rather than taking direct spin. That's if Honda's going to take it, you'd imagine. But they've got options even from this sort of range. Have Japan. Ogdanovsky and Lucas Neal claiming the foul was a soft one.
Well, there's a long debate. Seems as though Honda has given way to Yasuhito Endo. Perhaps suits the right-footed Endo a little more. Endo scored a wonderful goal at the World Cup against Denmark, I think, from this sort of range. So Mark Schwarzer, dressed all in red, is on red alert. Endo goes for goal, and it's just flashed wide of Schwarzer's right-hand post. I think the goalkeeper had it covered, in fairness.
Yeah, I agree with you. He had a good look at that, Schwarzer. It did scramble, and for those looking on, it might have been a little bit nervous, supporters of the Socceroos, but I reckon he read it early. Had a good side of it. Nervous moment, nevertheless, for the visitors. The emperor of the Blue Samurai, Yasuhito Endo. Super player. The architect of so much of what Japan have done in recent times.
Lucas Neal going long. Whilst you're watching that replay, and Australia have retained possession of the ball through Robbie Cruz, but only momentarily. Nagatomo up towards halfway.
No, that's brilliant defending from Lucas Neal. He started the game really well. Talk about a skipper under pressure, Simon. But he's working to get the front position. He's done that on the last 2 or 3 forays forward by Japan. Intercepted well.
Good dummy by Holman. Bresciano and for Tommy Orr. Orr's overran it. Well, Tommy Orr's been playing the attacking midfield role for FC Utrecht in the Netherlands. Has to do a job out wide tonight for Holger Rossick's men.
Yeah, it's going to take a little bit of a readjustment, but it's enormous for his confidence to be playing so regularly in the top Dutch league, and now to get the nod to start this match is a crucial match for Australia. And tellingly, Simon, apart from the research off DVDs that Zaccaroni would have done, not a lot of first-hand experience of what Tommy Orr's all about, so perhaps a jack in the box for Australia.
Milligan nipping in ahead of Honda. All very tight in there. Now Shakrala just telling Milligan to calm things down.
Just a little bit late there, Milligan surrounded by 3, couldn't get control of the football.
Well, we're still raining down for the vast terrace away to our left. Asabe, the Japanese captain. Beautiful control by Honda. Shinji Kagawa. Lovely back heel to tee up Nagatomo. Little push on Robbie Cruz. Australia will get the free kick.
Well recovered, Robbie Cruz, because he was just a little bit off. Nagatomo has the ladder was found by the intuition of Shinji Kagawa. And those little lapses can really hurt if you're not able to get back and make redress, which Tommy Orr did. He's a nervous figure, Holger Osik. That's since kickoff. Before the game, Simon, you'd have to say that the coach of Australia was way more relaxed than one might have expected, and certainly compared to recent matches.
Well, perhaps because he's in familiar surroundings. Of course, coached the Ottawa Red Diamonds, won the Asian Champions League with them in 2007. Knows this stadium and this city very well.
And importantly, Simon, he also knows the mentality of Japanese players because of his time here, including the skipper, Hasebe, who played for Osik during his time at Ottawa. And all these little things count. Holger Osik, outside of the football technical elements, would have been able to work the dressing room and tell his players how to get in the face of their opponents, how to get under their skin, how to destabilise them.
So it's Maya Yoshida, now playing in the English Premier League with Southampton. So a fairly good campaign. Yoshida just trying to curl it in towards Kagawa.
Well, it's only 10 minutes in. The test is very real, and Australia are holding firm. The movement and coordination in defence has been first class, as it's going to need to be for the 80 minutes that are going to follow from here. Honda pushing forward to join the front men and then dropping off with little 10-15 metre angled runs into space, and looking then from that part of the field to pick Australia apart. He's looking dangerous already, the number 4.
Kale trying to chest it into the path of Milligan. In the process, he was upended by Suke Kono. One of the veterans in this Japanese lineup. Too many in the starting 11 over 30, but he's one of those. As is Sasha Ognanovsky with a rather aimless floated ball through. It's all been about Australia being a long ball side in the build-up this week in the media halves.
Well, that last effort from Sasha Ognanovsky vindicates that commentary, but that's not really the way Australia have looked to start. Indeed, Holger Osik unhappy with that decision by Ognanovsky.
Now danger here for Australia. An important interception that by Matt Mackay. Otherwise, Shinji Okazaki might have been clean through on Mark Schwarzer. Australia do go long, and Holman to drive it on the half volley from a long way out.
Yeah, well, he scored some spectacular ones, including in the World Cup finals. Very similar range against Serbia, but he had a brilliant option wide in Robbie Cruz. And don't mistake that for long ball. That was a good forward pass to Tim Cahill, who remains as close to unbeatable in the air as you've got.
Uchida. Now Kagawa. Hasebe is just down on the turf for the moment. He's up now. Honda. Here is Hasebe. The many who play in the German Bundesliga. It's almost become a second home for a lot of Japanese players. Now Uchida in behind Tommy Orr and across the face. And Lucas Neal was there to sweep behind.
Yeah, good coverage, Lucas Neal. Excellent from the skipper. Not to be surprised, Australia, when the wide men get beaten by a 1-2 or a driving run, but it's how the centre defenders adjust, and Lucas Neal was expert on that occasion.
Just a little warning sign for the Socceroos. Those intricate little triangles that they weave, and there's a free header at the near post here. Now there could be a counter on for Australia through Brett Holman. Tommy Orr in acres of space here on the left. 2 up to aim for, but he's put it way over the head of Brett Holman, who's not best pleased with that delivery from Tommy Orr.
Yeah, it's not a great end product from Tommy Orr. His last 2 possessions haven't been brilliant. There's a clash of bodies, Yoshida rising, heading downwards, and thankfully for the Socceroos, they escape. And the counter-attack was on again. And they just, even though the final product from Tommy Orr left a lot to be desired, Simon, they keep chipping away. They'll keep chipping away at the confidence of Japan if Australia keep this counter-attacking. Eventually, one or two of those fullbacks will have to start sitting a bit deeper, and the attacking threat from Japan is lessened as a result. The game is teetering on the brink, just as you'd expect.
Lucas Neal's ball forward comes to Nords. This is Matt Mackay, who was another one of those late arrivals into camp. Had to play a domestic league game in China for his club side Changchun Yatai. A clumsy barge by Hasebe and Brett Holman.
It's clear Japan allowing Sashok Nanovsky to be the man in possession at the back, and then narrowing his square passing angles and looking to force him to pass it up the channel. On that occasion, Australia got away with it. The foul on Brett Holman.
Bit of a nothing ball that by Neal. Okazaki was quick to chase it. Now the ball's with Honda. Nagatomo pushing forwards. Inside it comes instead. Chance perhaps for Endo to unleash it. Yasuhito Endo! Well, his left foot not perhaps the more favoured of the two. It wasn't too far away from the right hand upright.
He made the space beautifully, always rising the shot. Again, Schwarzer had to scramble. And the attack set up. Poor pass out of midfield again from Australia. And then Matt Mackay slower to react.
Oh, that was mighty close. Beautiful angle behind the goal.
Never in doubt, Simon. Yeah, so there's 2 or 3 occasions where Australia has really been stretched. One of the problems has been just a little bit of a lack of anticipation. And just a little bit quicker to the breakdown or to a contested pass.
Clever ball by Cruz. Now Cahill and Holman. Just pulled it wide of the right-hand upright. Good chance, though, for Australia.
Brilliant chance. Good signs, Brett Holman. Had a really disappointing time of it in the English Premier League with Aston Villa. He's had 2 efforts on goal already. And this is where he, in these broken field situations, is such a danger for Japan. And again, just a little warning shot across the bow of the home team.
Without Brett Holman's equalising goal against Oman, of course, Australia would be in an even worse position. As it is, fate is still in their own hands. 2 home games to come against Jordan and Iraq. Oman and Iraq playing tonight in Muscat. Tommy Orr's ball having a bit too much pace on it for Cahill. Yoshida stroking it forward. Miscue by Honda. Wilkshire looking to release Cruz. Hasebe. Holman foraging for possession. Uchida. Kono. Kagawa. Hasebe. Nagatomo. Back for Hasebe to try and curl it in, and well read by Ognanovsky. Honda wins it back for Japan. Danger again for Australia here. Oh, great save by Schwarzer. Danger still not averted. It is now courtesy of Matt Mackay, but a brilliant one-handed stop from Mark Schwarzer to deny the Blue Samurai.
Well, free kick to Australia just on halfway. The challenge on Timmy Cahill, but they've escaped care of the great man Mark Schwarzer. 40 years young and reflexes like a cat still. and well scrambled thereafter. And the problem in the centre of midfield on that passage of play, Mark Bresciano just being exposed, the lack of speed, not being able to close down and then turn and follow the runner. Honda is dangerous enough in concert with Shinji Kagawa.
Well, Kagawa didn't catch it cleanly, but it was still a fine save by Schwarzer. Now Cruz, Bresciano for the knockdown. There's plenty of power behind that.
Bodies being thrown at either end of the field. What a brilliant opening 20 minutes.
Developing into a really good contest. Back heel by Cruz. Read by Conno.
You've got a great piece of that. Brilliant defending. Uchida. That would have forced Kawashima into some sort of action in the Japan goal.
Bresciano now thankfully recovered from that knee injury sustained against Oman. Now Lucas Neal out of position and Honda on the charge. Okazaki out wide. Honda just bides his time. And the shot from Kagawa is deflected behind for a corner.
Well, again, brilliant scrambling from the Socceroos. Lucas Neal claiming he was fouled on halfway there. Fair play, says the referee, and fair enough. And they were working their socks off to try and get goal side. Ognanovski just slows things brilliantly. Then he and Milligan throw themselves to block the shot, and they do their job.
Ryoichi Maeda with the final efforts, which has produced another corner. Yasuhito Endo to deliver. Deep this time towards the back post. Volleyed wide by Okazaki, who boasts a very impressive record for the national side. 32 goals in 61 appearances. In fact, he's probably more prolific for his country, Andy, than for his club.
Yeah, he's not getting a lot of time at Stuttgart, Okazaki. Indeed, whilst Japan have got a number of players, particularly in the Bundesliga, Simon, there's only 2 or 3 of them who are seriously regular starters, which is not to discredit them, of course. Okazaki is one of those. Here's a chance for Tommy Orr.
Uchida missing the ball, and Tommy Orr's been body checked. That's going to be a yellow card for the Japanese captain, Makoto Hasebe. And that is a yellow card, which will rule him out of Japan's final qualifier against Iraq in Doha.
Well, had to be committed there, Hasebe. And it's a clear yellow card, and the advantage of a player with speed. It's Australia in all sorts of trouble defensively because Japan have so many players with such speed. But Tommy Orr just tipping the scales ever so slightly back towards Australia in that discussion. And dragging Hasebe into an errant tackle, and now the skipper sitting on that yellow.
More importantly, it's given Australia the chance from the set piece. Cahill a threat in the air. Sasha Ognanovski's pushed forward as well. And it was Tim Cahill who got the volley in. Slightly behind him. Always rising. Not the sort of threat that Japan are expecting from Timmy Cahill. It's a poor free kick from Tommy Orr, who's been energetic, but his delivery, his service hasn't been brilliant. He's got plenty of room to improve. Going behind Timmy Cahill, he had to stop and prop and then swing that left boot to volley this one. Past the midway point of the first half. It's been as pulsating as we expected it might be. This is Holman. Forced to backtrack. Mackay too. Got a touch of fortune there, Matt Mackay as well. Picks out Milligan well. Through the legs of the opponents. No foul on the Socceroo, despite the claims of the Australians. This is Kagawa. Now Honda Australia around the Japanese playmaker in numbers. Pinch the ball back, Tommy Orr. And he's bundled over. It's good play by the Australians.
A really good play. They're fighting for their lives. Milligan just caught a little bit sluggish there as well in possession. He had Luke Wiltshire out on the right. As Australia looked to break out of the back, it was real composure from Matt Mackay. And finally, 25 minutes. Just a little bit of a lull, Simon. It's been frantic and really difficult for the visitors, as we said at the top, to get together and communicate with this din. A little bit of respite now for the Socceroos.
Ognanovski to try and find Robbie Cruz. He succeeds. Bresciano. Neatly done. Cahill. Bresciano with the switch. It's a good one too. Orr looking for the first time cross, which is blocked by Uchida.
That's better from Tommy Orr and better from Australia. Great composure. Mark Bresciano, it's taken him until now to get some consecutive touches on the ball, and it's more of what Australia needs.
Holman just cushioning it into the path of Bresciano. Again, that's well worked by Australia. Now Luke Wiltshire, really good position if he can find the right cross. It's disappointing. It results in a corner for Australia. It might have been more.
Just lacked a little bit of conviction from Luke Wiltshire, but part of that problem was the run or non-run that Robbie Cruz made. He didn't really help Luke Wiltshire out on that occasion. And a good passage again, the architect of which for Australia was Mark Bresciano.
Neil and Ognanovski push forward again. Wiltshire's outswinger. Goes Milligan this time. Ognanovski trying to glance it back towards Kawashima's goal. He'll stay forwards. Into the penalty area by Orr. Just glanced off Tim Cahill. And behind for a goal kick.
Well defended, Japan, because he is so incredibly dangerous from that phase of play. It's a real advantage for Australia. Japan know it. They just crowded out the run of Timmy Cahill. Plenty have tried that before and still not succeeded, but so far so good for the home team.
Just so clever at hanging in the air, isn't he, Tim Cahill? Whether it's timing of the leap or the spring in the legs, probably a combination of both. Sprinkle in a bit of experience as well. You can see why Japan fear him so much. This is Uchida, the fullback from Schalke. Okazaki. Uchida swings the ball in. It's a tough one for Schwarzer. In the end, one hand was enough. Milligan. Holman back for Bresciano.
Much better composure from the Socceroos. He's taking the sting out of the atmosphere. That's not going to help. From Milligan.
Holman can't win it back. Instead it's with Endo. Now Honda. Chance to run at the Australian defence. Outside of the boot for Nagatomo. Here's Honda. Just about to pull the trigger when Sasha Ognanovski got in his way. And Australia can look to counter once again. This is Holman. A little bit slow in transition.
Well, what about this for a contest though, Simon? And Honda showing he's not just a clever player, but he's a very athletic player. Burst through that channel.
Skewed off the boot of Wiltshire. Now he's got to track back out of position. Laid off by Maeda. Nagatomo. Yasuhito Endo. Nagatomo leaving it for Shinji Kagawa. Again, the intricate play in and around the penalty area, which is such a threat. A very clever drop of the shoulder too by Brett Holman. Take him out of harm's way. Now it's with Cruz. Milligan. Mackay. Patient build-up this time by Australia. Neil. Captaining his country for the 45th time tonight. Miscue again by Wiltshire. Gets away with it this time. Gets the better of his man and swings across in towards Cahill. Out it comes for Tommy Orr, who tried to steer it in with his right foot.
A free kick against Timmy Cahill. Luke Wiltshire made something nearly from nothing. Judged to have climbed over Yoshida was Cahill. On Tommy Orr's right foot, which is not his preferred one. The referee with a good view of that one, whether or not people agree with the decision he came up with. But again, this Australia chipping away. It is true, they're stretched defensively and on occasion hanging on, but they're giving a bit as well. Just putting Japan on notice.
Uchida, Okazaki, again the intricate footwork, and it gets the better of Matt Mackay. Bresciano back to lend a hand. Still Japan have it through the tricky Kagawa. Eventually Matt Mackay chips it into the path of Tommy Orr, and again the counter may well be on. Cahill went too early. That's a clever ball though by Holman, and Robbie Cruz races onto it, but he just couldn't take the ball into his stride. Pity for the Socceroos.
Well, they're the moments. And Brett Holman is really lighting up the Saitama Stadium here with the odd touch, and he broke beautifully. Opted not to feed Timmy Cahill, who drifted offside, and the opportunity had closed, but instinctively found Cruz, who was away. His touch let him down, Robbie Cruz.
Half an hour played in Saitama. No goals, but a game already befitting two of the top teams in Asia. This is Honda. Kagawa, he and Maeda getting in each other's way. Mackay, Cahill the only target. It'll break kindly for Australia though. Bresciano letting the ball run across his body to get rid of Honda.
They are worth their weight in gold. Green and gold, those little moments from Mark Bresciano. You can see how it opens the field and players can have some space to play without pressure. And that is what Bresciano has to deliver consistently here for his team tonight.
Wiltshire spotted the run of Cruz, who's onside. Trying to pick out Cahill again. Another corner for Australia.
Clever work again. And that's a great run from Robbie Cruz. Bit critical earlier of a run he made or not to support Luke Wiltshire, and then of course that last breakaway touch let him down. But that's more like it from the Leverkusen-bound Robbie Cruz.
No show of emotion on the face of Holger Ossik, but already you'd venture to suggest this performance a couple of levels above what they managed to produce against Oman.
And Holman must have picked up a knock. He's been sent to the sidelines for treatment, maybe a little bit of blood.
Les Gillis and Dr. Mark Jones to administer some treatment while Australia prepared to take the corner. Looks as though he's picked up a whack in the face. Keep an eye on that. Wiltshire, flatter delivery this time. Neil sprinting after it and winning it. Good determination by the captain. Cruz's attempted cross was deflected. Oknanovsky sliding in. Neil still forward. Wiltshire. 2 to aim for in the box. Not a great ball in by Wiltshire. They have caused a few moments of anxiety in the Japanese defence though.
No question, they're acquitting themselves really well, which was their brief coming into the game.
Here comes Japan though. And here's the chance for Maeda, and it's blocked off expertly again by Sasha Oknanovsky.
And this is the pattern of the game, the transition pass to Cruz or Holman. Can one find the other?
Holman, as you can see, back in the park, great ball. Here's Robbie Cruz, one-on-one with Kawashima. Excellent save, it breaks for Cahill. And Cahill fires over the top of the crossbar. What a chance for Australia. Robbie Cruz feels he should get a decision from the referee, but credit to Eiji Kawashima, who was the villain against Bulgaria in the friendly during the week. But what a stop he pulled off here.
Now this is brilliant stuff from Holman and Cruz, and what about that from the keeper? I mean, Schwartz has denied Japan at one end, and now Kawashima has done the same. Excellent goalkeeping, great attack by Australia.
Well, this is what Cruz is complaining about. Don't really see what else Kawashima could do. He looked to get away from the body of Cruz as quickly as possible. And a golden chance for the green and gold. And Holger Rosick will know it. Cruz and then Cahill. Against opposition like this, there may not be too many of those sort of opportunities.
Well, there won't, I think. Alberto Zaccaroni is rubbing his scalp in sympathy with Shinji Okazaki, who just caught one from Sash Ognanovsky.
He's copped another one now from Holman.
Uchida, the second time down. That was accidental from Brett Holman. Look at Ognanovsky here, nostrils flaring.
Hip and shoulder from Brett Holman.
Uchida's been kept really quiet. Nagatomo on the left as well, Simon. Which is not to say there's been no threat from Japan, because Honda and Shinji Kagawa have just been breathtaking.
Just had that one incursion, didn't he, into the penalty area. Tsuto Uchida in the early stages of the game. What about that for a ball from Endo? And again, Australia alive to the danger. This time, Lucas Neal. You've got to have the eyes in the back of your head, though. Really have.
Well, this is the value of experience. I mean, the much maligned skipper of Australia, Lucas Neal, has not put a foot wrong so far here tonight. Great experience. A great captain's knock. 35 in.
Uchida. Honda to drive it. No real danger for Schwarzer on that occasion.
Moral victory for Australia, consigning Keisuke Honda to shooting off balance from way outside the penalty area. Australia need to take those moments, take encouragement from scenes like that. The war of attrition between contrasting styles.
Keisuke Honda, if you believe the press rumours, may be on his way to AC Milan during the close season. As a replacement, we understand, for Kevin Prince Boateng. Which will further add to the lustre of this Japanese side, already playing in some of the great leagues of Europe. It's good tracking back by Mark Milligan, and it had to be Shinji Kagawa. Almost wriggling clear.
We've been a bit critical of one or two of Mark Milligan's efforts in possession, but he's covered, particularly that inside right channel as Australia are defending. Inside left as Japan attack. He's covered beautifully. And that was a near thing. Could have gone so wrong. But he maintained his composure, and that's twice now he's thwarted Japan in a very similar part of the field.
Still a cacophony of noise from the hardcore Japanese fans away to our left. It's the corner up the other end. Should be Schwartz's, and is. 106th international tonight for the 40-year-old Fulham custodian. Well, he's going to be at Fulham too long, we understand. Still very much Australia's number one. Nagatomo popping up on the right flank. This is Okazaki, though. This is Uchida on the left. They've just swapped over for the moment to give Australia something different to think about. Here is Uchida. Kagawa again trying to burst through. Australia have stuck really diligently to their task for the most part.
And again, well controlled there in coverage defensively by Mark Milligan. Just covered that gap beautifully. Bresciano was stretched down the right flank. Milligan just filled in nicely and made the intercept, and Australia were able to play away, even if only momentarily.
Interesting ploy that by Zaccaroni to switch the fullbacks. Such a key part of Japanese attacks. Here is Nagatomo. Australia double up on him, but still they managed to find Shinji Kagawa. Now Tsuto Uchida. Now Endo. Honda. Australia too many bodies back. Wiltshire clears. Trying to roll away from Yoshida. A little trip on Uchida. He's back in his more familiar role on the right flank. Nagatomo swings it in right-footed, and Schwarzer, a relatively straightforward take.
He's dominated his box well on the free kick there. One brilliant save. Stretched on a couple of free kicks that went wide, and he's been very clean and dominant on the crossing that he's had to take.
13 shots in total. Japan just edging that stat, 7-6. There's the Australian fans, 1,100 of them in total. Imagine they'd be relatively pleased with what they've seen so far. Not necessarily that ball from Luke Wiltshire. Free gift of possession. And this is Honda. Uchida. Cross behind the two Japanese attackers. Bresciano, rare mistake from him tonight.
So those moments there, Simon, looks to me like Australia perhaps rattled, but a little bit confused as to what they need to do. Bresciano, I think, is looking for Robbie Cruz there to drop his shoulder and go long, get him behind the defender. Robbie Cruz wants to hold and get the ball played to feet. And once they get that sorted, that'll certainly assist Australia's cause. Mark Milligan's looked to hit a couple of those over the shoulder, and Cruz hasn't responded.
Now Bresciano. Cruz trying to break the line. He was offside though, and he knew it. Holman wasn't close enough to the ball. In
the end, it just needed a bit more meat on it, didn't it, that pass from Bresciano? Holman would have been away. Well covered by Maya Yoshida. He's had to earn his money here this evening. The central defender for Japan.
Clever by Okazaki through the legs of Tomior. Endo. Now Maeda getting the better of Mar Bresciano. Asabe playing it short for Endo. Honda out-muscled by Ognanovsky, and this is where Australia can pose a threat. Transition not quite quick enough on that occasion. Japan quickly back in possession. Kagawa. Nagatomo pushing forward on the left. Kagawa drifts inside instead. The attempted 1-2 with Honda. Green and gold wall in front of them. For the most part, Australia have been able to block off those central routes. Keep the two fullbacks from getting in behind too often. What Bulgaria did particularly well. A friendly victory in Nagoya during the week. Wiltshire too far for Cruz.
That one was slightly telegraphed, but that's where Australia want to play Robbie Cruz. He hasn't been able really to figure down that right-hand side. He's been way more dangerous angling his run coming through the centre. We approach half-time, Simon. It's been a typically dominant Japan and a very, very strong and resolute and brave Australia. And the game plan has worked pretty much as expected. They must now make sure that they just don't concede before half-time, the visitors.
Here's Honda. Okazaki on target. Straight down the throat of Schwarzer. Australians have worked an awful lot, we're led to believe, Andy, on structure this week. It's paid off so far.
I think it's been excellent. They're letting themselves down while getting tested with a poor passing transition. Once or twice a lack of anticipation, and then another couple of occasions just individuals too slow to keep up with the Japanese opponent immediately. But outside of that, it's been a very diligent, well-organised Socceroos team, and look quite potent on the counter-attack.
Showing too much of that to Endo, but he's snaffled the ball back.
Definitely need more of Bresciano controlling possession in the second half. That's what they've got to try and sort out at half-time. Just to relieve the pressure on themselves. The momentum going back their way, and the key to that is Bresciano. We've seen how effective he can be. On the 4 or 5 occasions he's done that in this half. It's just not been enough, really, to tip the scales far enough Australia's way.
There we go, there's no stoppage time at all at the end of the first period. It has been as pulsating as we expected it would be. The highlights, 2 excellent saves from the 2 goalkeepers. Shinji Kagawa denied by Mark Schwarzer at one end with a terrific one-handed stop, and at the other, Robbie Cruz by Eiji Kawashima, and then Tim Cahill blazing the follow-up over the top of the crossbar. But a much improved performance by Holger Ossik's side. Japan with the lion's share of the ball. You'd expect that as they're at home with a large crowd behind them. But as yet, they have not been able to break through. Australia's structure so far has remained firm and resolute. At the break then in Saitama, it's goalless. It's Japan 0, Australia 0.
As is done on so many occasions, Mark Schwarzer saving Australia from going behind in this crucial World Cup qualifier. Can the Socceroos build on that in the second half? Let's head now back to Saitama and your commentators, Andy Harper and Simon Hill.
Welcome back to Saitama for the second half. The big question is, will a pleasing first half performance by the Socceroos eventuate into a satisfactory result or better? Andy Harper.
Well, the question is, how long can they last? How long can they keep up the intensity? I think you're pretty comfortable in believing Japan are going to continue in the same vein. And Australia were fabulous in that first half in very difficult circumstances. They've got to find the same mentality and the same reserves, and that's got to run out the entire 45 minutes of this second half.
Early chance here perhaps for Japan. Shinji Kagawa just trying to get clear of a couple of defenders. Both teams appeal for the decision. Goal kick is the verdict of Nawaf Shakrala. He's such a slippery player.
He's just a fabulous player. And their turning circle is next to nothing. Their awareness of the available space is very acute, both he and Honda and Endo.
Started to really make his mark. Sorry, Andy, at Manchester United in the second half of the season.
Yeah, there's going to be a period of acclimatisation there as well. But he did the business at Borussia Dortmund. We saw this year in their run through the European Champions League just exactly what that means. Manchester United in another sphere in some senses, and certainly take a while for him to acclimatise to the Premier League way of doing things.
Australia have acclimatised pretty well here in Saitama. Still a long 45 minutes to go. They've got to keep out the team that scored more goals than any other in this fourth stage of Asian qualifying, 14 in total. Australia have posed one or two problems of their own. Robin Cruz in particular with a great chance in that first period, denied by Kawashima.
Well, to the extent that a script can be prepared for a football match, Simon, that first 45 minutes almost followed it to the letter. Japan enjoying the lion's share of possession, looking very dangerous with clever players who can pick a pass, really threaten opposing defenders, but Australia really well coordinated across the back and scrambling as they needed to, and then on the counter-attack looking dangerous themselves, and that was the expected pattern of the match. It certainly materialised in that first 45 minutes.
This is Makoto Hasebe, Japanese captain, who's the only player to have picked up a yellow card so far. He's second of the series, which means he'll miss the final qualifier in Doha against Iraq. It does seem very harsh, just 2 yellow cards across the entire series. Here's the tricky Shinji Kagawa, looking to link up with Keisuke Honda.
Such a cult figure here, Keisuke Honda.
Hasebe. Well watched by Mackay. Chance for Tommy Orr to push forwards. Almost ran the ball out of play there. It's a touch of fortune as well to get it back off Hasebe. Bresciano. Milligan. Neil, who showed all his experience. His 90th cap tonight in the first half. Wilkshire's delivery. Hale's header back across goal, and Robbie Cruz wasn't really alive to it.
Yeah, again, that's a fair criticism, Simon. If it was a criticism or just an observation. It's one or two times in that first half Australia didn't anticipate as they might, and that was another example of that.
Kagawa shows Wilkshire a clean pair of heels. Almost gets it through to Honda, and there's Neil again. You'd never know he'd only played 3 games of football in 2013, Lucas Neil.
This is the moment we're looking for. A little drop of the shoulder from Robbie Cruz, and then get the pass outside the defender. It didn't quite work on that occasion from Luke Wilkshire, but it didn't mean that Australia stopped trying to execute that particular attack.
Japan looking increasingly towards this man on the ball, Shinji Kagawa. Inside is Honda. Again, they try and just thread it through the eye of a needle for Nagatomo, who is racing through. Now he's out of position. Can Australia make profit from that? Holman, good switch for Tommy Orr. Matt Mackay trying to push forward and lend a hand in support. There's an old-fashioned shoulder barge there between Orr and Uchida.
Well,
referee didn't like it.
From our vantage point, I'm not sure. I thought it was a foul in the back. Thought he might have given a throw-in for Japan, which would have been a mistake, but it is indeed a free kick. And I can't disagree with the referee's decision on that occasion. But a good contest between Uchida and Tommy Orr.
Kagawa. Nagatomo. Blocked by Wilkshire. There's not much up ahead of him though. He goes to Neil. Along the line for Mackay. Ognanovsky. Ognanovsky said this week he feared his international career might be over. He's back in favour today, and there's a late challenge on Milligan there by Endo. Milligan has remained down. He just got caught on the ankle there, Mark Milligan.
The referee disagrees with Mark Milligan. He's told him to get straight up.
Here he is on the ball. Had a spell in Japan, of course, with Jeff United Chiba. Before returning to Australia with Melbourne victory. Looks to be okay after that challenge from Yasuhito Endo. wasn't much intent about that Australian build-up from the back, and Japan have quickly pinched the ball back. This is Kagawa. Sidesteps clear of Wiltshire, now Honda. He's got quick feet too. Nagatomo's up there. Back for Hasebe. Well done, Brett Holman, to get back and rob the ball for Australia. Now Robbie Cruz on the charge. Forced to check though by Kono. Legally so. Free kick.
Well, you've got to give credit to a guy like Brett Holman, Simon. He has been frozen out at Aston Villa, has had no football, but he's been great tonight. And these little steals are the sorts of form that he did at provided at international level, and I'm sure in Holland that caught the attention of the English Premier League. When his radar is up, Brett Holman nicks in and pinches those little possessions, and Australia had a great little counter-attacking opportunity because of it.
Unfortunately, the free kick opportunity has been rather wasted by Neil. Just talking as you were at the start of the second half about how long Australia can last, in particular when you're looking at individuals, I suppose Holman is one of them, given his lack of game time at Villa.
Indeed, despite the fact that he scored the equaliser last start against Oman, he looked like he was tiring in that game. But he's in the sort of form tonight where you wouldn't really want to have him off the field. But it is a question that's going to get more and more intense, not necessarily of Holman only. Mark Bresciano as well, he's done a good job in intercepting there.
Cahill, heavy challenge from the back by Kono. Quickly back underway, and it's with Wiltshire. Neil. Holman didn't really look as to where Bresciano was, and snaffled by Endo. Maeda to Shinji Kagawa. Always danger when he's on the ball, gets the byline and clips it across. Might drop for Honda, and he's put it wide.
I think it's a free kick. Kagawa, the turn of speed. It's blistering. Somehow he rounded that ball up and dinked in a beautiful little cross. Look at him go. Just squares up Luke Wiltshire, somehow rounds it up, and that's the foul on Ognenovski. It's a great call from the ref. He's not missed anything so far tonight. Schwarzer getting a very important fingertip, but the damage done by Maeda anyway.
Well, you'd venture to suggest there might be a few more of those moments before we're done tonight. So far, Australia have had the answers. Rosic at the edge of his technical zone, just scratching his brow. Hasebe. Uchida. Honda. Looking to take on Matt Mackay, and then leaves it for Kagawa, who punches it towards goal.
Very comfortable though for Schwarzer, but the two of them, Kagawa and Honda again. We've seen two players on the same wavelength. These two are it. It's the finishing touches missing for Japan at the moment. Not enough accuracy in their shooting. They're finding the target, fair enough, but they're finding Mark Schwarzer as well. Good period for Japan.
This man at the central at Kagawa. That's well stolen though by Mark Milligan. He looks up and there's not too much ahead of him. Cruz trying to get in on the blind side of Kono, which wasn't a bad idea from Holman.
Nice, just too hard from Brett Holman, too heavy on the touch. Cruz had drifted beautifully into the advanced position, and the steal from Milligan, that's been a high point of his game. Great contribution from Milligan defensively.
As you can hear, the Japanese fans doing their bit. They barely stopped all night. Endo with the floated ball, and Nagatomo's in behind. And that's a really good challenge from Luke Wiltshire. Perfectly timed, as he was in danger, of course, of potentially giving away a penalty as well.
Well, he needed to really get on his bike there. Beautiful pass over the top. Inch perfect. Great take from Nagatomo as well. And wonderful from Luke Wiltshire. He's been pretty quiet, Yuto Nagatomo, tonight. And that was a moment for him to shine, but Luke Wilshere was having none of it.
Japan just starting to turn the screw. Kagawa. Beautiful skill. And again, he and Honda combined. It's Kagawa. No foul by Ognenovski. Took the ball cleanly. But boy, he's a threat.
The two of them are leading Australia on a merry dance at the moment. I think the appeal from Japan was handball on Ognenovski. Look at the two of them go. It's touch and go. Instinctively, they turn and pass. Ognenovski flies in, no foul, clear win. Again, the referee right on the business. But you're right, Simon. Australia can't get the outlet pass. Maybe this is a function either of them being tired psychologically after that huge first half effort, and maybe physically as well. But there's not the same spring in counter-attack at the moment.
Well, we're approaching the hour mark, and these are crucial minutes for Australia to keep their focus, to keep Japan at bay. It's a blue tide at the moment. Here's Honda. Jinx clear of Milligan. Endo. Kagawa again. Kagawa with a chip. Oh, and it just grazes the crossbar. Shinji Kagawa with a delightful piece of opportunism. And the two of them are virtually playing Australia on their own.
It is two virtuoso performances. And the mantra from Japan, if you're Yasuhito Endo or any player, just get the ball to one of those guys. They'll soon find their partner in crime. It's been the way the second half has unfolded, but Australia just cannot secure possession. At this rate, it's just a matter of time before their defence is breached. The pressure will be too great. Holger Osik must be getting close to ringing some sort of change.
Nervous times for the green and gold. Look how deep Robbie Cruz is. Back to track the run of Yuto Nagatomo. Bit of a slice off the boot of Schwarzer. Cruz thumps it up towards halfway, where Kale is isolated really, and he's fouled the Japanese midfielder Makoto Hasebe.
Well, the experience has done Australia really well here so far tonight. That's a foul by Tim Kale.
And he's trodden on the Achilles of Hasebe as they came back down towards ground as well.
But it is the experienced players of Australia now who have to take the heat out of this blue tide, as you called it. Lucas Neal, Mark Bresciano in particular. Australia's got a secure possession at the moment. They're just turning them straight over.
Well, might Holger Osik look at his watch. There's still a long time to go. Alberto Zaccaroni's team really in the ascendancy. Bresciano trying to ease the tension for Australia. Tommy Orr with a good run. An excellent run, in fact. Little break here for Bresciano. Bresciano to drive from distance. It's blocked. Now with Holman. Good bit of respite this for the Socceroos. Mackay. Tommy Orr with time to turn. Back for Mackay. Can he find the delivery towards Cahill? It was Brett Holman arriving behind him, and he couldn't get the best contact. Ball still in play for Cruz, and two waiting in the middle. In fact, the referee's whistle has gone.
Another free kick, must be. No one really in green and gold knows why. Good stuff. Tommy Orr, nice cross, Matt Mackay. The two former Brisbane Roar men linking. Can't see illegal contact there. Timmy Cahill, has he got hold of someone? He's entitled to jump for the ball. Referee disagreed. He's the one who counts it. A great game, the ref so far.
Holger Osik's just had a word in the ear of Robbie Cruz. There's some room here for Honda. And a foul by Matt Mackay. And Mackay is furious with that decision. He feels Honda turned into him. What's your take on it, Andy?
Well, I think the ref was left with no choice. Matt Mackay clearly tried to get out of the way, but and Honda was going to milk it for all it was worth. And I think the referee got that right. He had nowhere to go. And after a little bit of respite, Australia, it's taken them 15 minutes in this second half to really threaten Japan, and now they're straight back on their heels.
angle from here is a trifle narrow. Those fans behind the goal are going to try and suck this ball in. Mark Schwartz has got to get his wall absolutely bang on. You fancy that this would be Honda's, given the side of the goal it's on. Endo had a couple of sighters in the first half from similar positions. This, you'd imagine, is going to be Keisuke Honda. It is Honda. Well, it had pace, didn't quite have enough dip.
Well, it could easily dip in though. The way he strikes those balls, straight through the middle, full instep. Thankfully for Australia, it sailed over, but there are occasions when they can drop dramatically in. He wasn't giving up on it, not for a second.
It is wonderful the way these exponents of the free kick managed to get that unbelievable dip on the ball. Cristiano Ronaldo, of course, perhaps the world's #1 in that regard. Honda not far short. Still, we remain goalless after 63 minutes. A point would be enough, of course, to take Japan to the World Cup. A point would be pretty useful, though, for Australia.
Oh, and morally, Simon, enormous tonic for the Socceroos. Holger Osik's men have been primed for this one.
Here's Robbie Cruz on the ball. Whipped in towards the near post, but Kawashima, always favourite.
It had potential. It's got to be more from Robbie Cruz, and more and more and more, because that's what's on offer from Japan's viewpoint. They just keep coming and coming and coming. Kagawa, Honda, fed by Endo. And ominously for Australia, the fullback's getting further up the pitch as well. That wasn't the case in the first half. The counter-attacking philosophy and game plan for Australia pegged Japan back, at least to some extent. And that's where Australia have to get back to in the time remaining.
This is Kono. Finding Honda again. The ball just sticks like glue to his feet. Endo trying to loft it over the top. There was arm across Shinji Okazaki by Sasha Ognenovski, but no foul. Kai racing clear. Where he was pegged back by the aforementioned Okazaki. Schwarzer to go route one, looking for Cahill. Japan to do likewise through Atsuto Uchida. Awkward bouncing ball that for Mackay, and Ognenovski's clearance has only found Okazaki. Cristiano lending a hand. Kawashima belts the leather out of it, and Maeda is tripped by Ognenovski. Referee right on the spot, he says free kick.
Well, he's been very disciplined this evening so far, Ognenovski, but he's conceded 2 free kicks in the eyes of the ref. That's fair enough too. In dangerous positions, he's pleaded his innocence on both occasions, certainly on that second one. Whether or not the contact was intentional is immaterial.
Let's see what the maestro can do from this one. If anything, this is a little bit further out than the previous one some minutes ago. That won't faze Keisuke Honda. Just sizing up the angles. Where can he find the gap? Schwarzer primed. Honda set. Keisuke Honda, it's flatter this time, but Schwarzer had a good view of it.
Calm and assured hands from Mark Schwarzer. He's been brilliant tonight. One fabulous save. The rest of his work has just been so tidy and composed. A great platform of confidence that he's provided for his team.
This is Maya Yoshida to set things moving again for Japan. Uchida to Hasebe. Kondo. Kagawa. Endo for Nagatomo. Kagawa. Honda. Endo on the left touch line. Nagatomo. Australia double up to good effect. Cruz is being held.
It's really well defended. And Australia feel comfortable as long as Japan are in front of them. They get into trouble when the ball gets into Kagawa or Honda and they're able to turn and get in behind Australia's defence. But on that occasion, they managed to shepherd Japanese players in possession, most latterly Nagatomo away from goal, and then they could adjust their position to pick off the pass as it came through.
So the Japanese substitutes going through their warming up exercises. Meantime, Australia have got themselves a free kick.
And he's conceded his fair share of free kicks this evening, Tim Cahill, in the eyes of the ref, but he's won one fairly and squarely there. And this will play right into Australia's hands.
Holger Osuk deep in conversation with Aradio Vidmar, who incidentally is the only Australian to score on Japanese soil many years ago. Could that be about to change? Rare sight of Kawashima's goal. Tommy Orr to bend it in. Little drop for Cahill. It's away by Okazaki.
Very, very well defended this from Japan. It's a beautifully flighted free kick from Tommy Orr. Hasebe in there getting rid of Lucas Neal. That's no easy task. And Okazaki responded quickest to hook the ball clear.
Holman, clever touch into the path of Tommy Orr. He was quick, smart, closed down by Uchida.
And that's the sort of anticipation we're talking about. Great stuff, Tommy Orr. You can see the advantage of having players with speed, making, on this occasion, Uchida having to turn and chase and stretch and scramble to try and keep that one away.
Are we going to get one of Mark Milligan's trademark long throws? We are, towards Cahill. Nothing comes of it. Looks as though, incidentally, Holger Osuk might be considering a change, Andy.
Dario Vidosic has received instructions. You'd imagine that's for Brett Holman, who's faded in this second half, not to be unexpected. That, of course, mightn't be the change, but that's the one that immediately comes to mind.
Have Australia weathered the storm. They've survived to the 70-minute mark. Still plenty of concentration needed as it drops here for Honda, who fires this time with his right foot wide of the target.
Holger Osuk is about to play his first card off the bench. And this was very makeable from Keisuke Honda. It is Brett Holman, who, I can report, Simon, is leading the man of the match voting, according to the officials here at the ground, including the Japanese judges. It's been a great game, and he'll be received very warmly.
So Holman off, Dario Vidosic on. What a turnaround in fortunes for Dario Vidosic. Wasn't even picked for the East Asia Cup, I think, last year.
Well, this is just the stage for Dario Vidosic. You know, his output at Adelaide isn't matching his talent. Maybe it's going to take something like this for him to really spark, because he certainly has the talent and the quality. And I think it's a good change from Holger Osik. He's had to be patient because he must have been tempted to go to his bench a bit earlier. Australia under intense pressure. That opening 15 minutes in this second half, it was all Japan, but the coach resisted. He held strong and the team managed to get back into the football match and buy some time. But now it's Dario Vidosic's turn.
For just his 15th cap for his country. Milanovsky looking to release Tommy Orr, but the radar was off a little there. Kale can't win it back, and it breaks for Keisuke Honda. Now Okazaki. Hasebe. Square is Endo. Wide left is Yuto Nagatomo. Yoshida. To venture forwards. To crosses, charged down by Milligan. He's done some pretty sterling work in that regard. Crowd just taking a breather. Now they're back in the game. And Japan have a throw-in. Honda. Vidosic snapping away at his heels, eager to get involved. Endo. Kagawa. Looks towards the back post and Okazaki, but it's too deep. Well, even Kagawa's had a bit of a lull last 10 minutes.
It's the first blemish, really. I mean, you're seeing Manchester United quality on show in Shinji Kagawa, and that was the first non-Manchester United type offering he's provided. He's been great tonight. Pleasure to watch them.
We just caught a glimpse there of Hiroshi Kiyotake, who's another one of these young prodigies, which Japan are producing plenty at the moment. There was some suggestion he might start tonight. Playing for Nuremberg. Unfortunately for him, the man who plays in his position is Shinji Kagawa. So perhaps no wonder he's not going to look in right from the start, but he may be useful off the bench. May see him at some stage as we move towards the final quarter of an hour here in Saitama. What has been a very professional so far, very disciplined performance by the Australians.
Yeah, they've stood shoulder to shoulder, the green and gold. They really have amassed their troops, and they've worked so diligently. Zaccaroni frustrated. Maida's had really very little to contribute so far. Okazaki's been a constant danger, such a sharp player, but it's the Kagawa and Honda show. They've been outstanding.
Mackay trying to find a way through and succeeding to Bresciano. Now the switch is on and there's a bit of room here for Luke Wiltshire. 3 in the box to aim for. Here's a chance for Kale, and it's charged down by Maya Yoshida. And now Japan on the counter-attack through Keisuke Honda at the other end. Rides the challenge of Milligan. Australia desperately trying to get the ball back. Still with Honda. Now Kagawa, and Wiltshire steals in on the blind side.
Brilliant recovery. And 100% for Mark Milligan. The opportunity for Japan was squeezed by Matt Mackay, who's been outstanding at left fullback. And Milligan retreated. This is a great chance. Luke Wiltshire, very rare territory for him. Timmy Kale thwarted again. You're talking about players having a great game. What about Maya Yoshida? He's been unbeatable so far this evening for Japan. But Milligan and Mackay in tandem dealt with that counter-attack beautifully.
We're set up for some finale here. Under a quarter of an hour to go. That was terrific action at both ends of the park. Still the deadlock yet to be broken. Kagawa, Hasebe, inside for Endo. Japan probing now through Keisuke Honda, who pops up on the left flank. Chips it up towards the back post where Okazaki was waiting. He's boxed into a corner by Mackay. Tommy Orr arriving too. Australia have enough to get out of a hole. This is Bresciano.
Well, that's where Bresciano's got to take the lead and make those passes stick. He's been generally good otherwise, and the goal scorer against Australia in Brisbane gets ready to play off the bench.
That being Yuzo Kurihara, who of course later received a red card in that game in Brisbane after putting Japan in front. Luke Wiltshire subsequently equalising for the penalty spots after Mark Milligan had been sent off. Not the change perhaps we expected from Japan. Maybe given his record against Australia, he's going to play up front. He is by trade a defender. Anyway, we shall see. Honda, meantime, finding Kagawa. Now Okazaki. Held up by Mackay. Should have having a race to keep it in play. Endo under pressure. Now Hasebe. Chance opens up for him. And the shot's always fading wide.
Well, pressured well by Ognjanowski, who's dragged back to his feet by Bresciano and Lucas Nil. They appreciate the effort.
But most of Japan's chances have come from outside the box.
Now, shooting from distance, it's not a weakness of Japan, but it's certainly not a forte of theirs.
Well, perhaps we've just seen what the weakness is, Harps. Ryoichi Maeda, who's been virtually anonymous tonight, is replaced by Yuzo Kurihara.
He's had 3 goals in this final stage of World Cup qualifying, but he's been out of form recently. And Honda's pushed further forward, seemingly.
He will work in tandem with Shinji Kagawa. Kagawa is working with Nagatomo at the moment. Here's Nagatomo, and Schwarzer drops to his left to make the smother.
Brilliant, Mark Schwarzer. Had all the angles covered. Lucas Nil was beaten. He just couldn't get back. He couldn't recover the territory on Yuto Nagatomo. Australia survive again.
Well, I've had a few scares tonight, Australia, but in the main, Schwarzer's been equal to them. Just beaten the once when that shot from Shinji Kagawa dropped onto the top of the crossbar.
There's Kagawa releasing Nagatomo. Lucas Nil doing everything he can to get back. It wasn't enough. He needed Mark Schwarzer to block the shot. And he never looked in danger. Schwarzer has been faultless tonight. And crucially, on one telling occasion, outstanding. The frustration continues for Zaccaroni.
Schwarzer and Australia made it into the final 10 minutes with their goal still intact. Just occasionally posing a threat at the other end too. This is Bresciano. Tommy Orr. Right, one challenge and a second. And he's passed a third too. Clipped it now. It's stripped it in. It's gone in the back of the net. Straight off Tommy Orr. Australia are in front. Amazing. I think it was intended as a cross from Tommy Orr. It has drifted into the back of the net. Japan are stunned. Australia lead in Saitama.
Well, I think Australia, or Japan rather, were calling for a foul. Somehow it's ended up in the back of the net. And Tommy Orr pinning his ears back, forcing the issue, hitting the cross to the back post. It was a lottery from there. It swung in Australia's favour. It's taken a deflection. Eiji Kawashima swatting it flies, and Australia have got the lead. Amazing at Saitama. They've been stretched to breaking point, the Socceroos. And somehow they've survived and emerged.
Eiji Kawashima, who had a howler against Bulgaria during the week. And the finger of blame is pointed again at the Japanese goalkeeper. Australia will say, frankly, who cares? Dario Vidicic might have been fouled in the process of going for that ball as well. But Tommy Orr is the name on the score sheet, and against all the odds, Australia have their noses in front. Now, can they hang on for what would be their first ever win in Japan? A famous win it would be in Japan. After all the doom and gloom of recent months, what an opportunity they have here now.
Well, still plenty of time for Japan, who'll, you'd imagine, get at least another good 6 attacks at Australia. They'll dominate possession, they'll keep working for an opening. Kagawa and Honda can't be discounted.
Well, surely they will throw everything now at Australia. This is Uchida, he's overrun it. Goal kick, pressure eased.
Well, Tommy Orr, welcome to international football. Havenar stretched, ready to come on, 6'7" of him. Kawashima punched one in against Bulgaria just a matter of days ago. The penalty claim for Dario Vidicic, that's what Australia were hoping for. As Zaccheroni cannot believe what he's just seen. And however improbably, Australia with their noses in front, this has been a mighty performance by the Socceroos.
And 3 points would give them a mighty leap towards Brazil in 2014. It wouldn't confirm their spot, of course. But boy, it made things a whole lot easier with 2 home games to come.
Well, they'll get whatever happens from here, Simon. Even in this game, they will take enormous belief out of this performance. They've been stretched to breaking point, but they've not bowed, and they've thrown their bodies at the last second if required to stop and thwart Japan, and they've earned the position of leading in the football match.
They've earned another free kick there as well, as Japan prepare to make their second change. No surprise, it's a defender off for a striker. Atsuto Uchida.
Now you wonder if Holger Osik looks to get Josh Kennedy or Robbie Cornthwaite on as well. A bit of extra height to try and counter Havenar. And as we refer to that Bulgaria friendly a few days ago, Mike Havenar looked very out of sorts, not in great form at the moment.
Now Cruz into the penalty box. Tommy Orr to drill it. Well, perhaps a second goal too much to ask for. It wasn't a bad try, nor a bad opportunity. So Mike Havenar on to certainly lend some height to the Japanese attack. He is a lanky customer. He's Dutch origin, Havenar. There might be another change on the way shortly as well. Kiyotake, who we spoke about earlier, is poised to be Alberto Zaccheroni's third and final change. That's a risky ball from Robbie Cruz. In fact, it's worse than that. It's given possession away cheaply. Endo trying to thread it through. Havenar lets it run. And he and his teammates not quite on the same wavelength, Andy.
No, not at all. There's an uncharacteristic pass from Endo not to find its target, but he relied on 2 players to be in better sync than Havenar and Nagatomo were. Well, what a breathtaking evening of World Cup qualifying football here in Saitama. Itself a venue of World Cup finals football in 2002, but the place has rocked since kick-off. Okazaki now making way.
And it is instead Hiroshi Kiyotake. He's just had that standout breakthrough season in Germany with Nuremberg. He and Japan have got less than 5 minutes to try and prevent what for them would be something they really wouldn't have forecasted, Andy, and that means that if it stays like this, it will go to the final game for Japan. They will have to go to Doha and get something against Iraq. And that's a venue they don't have particularly happy memories of after failing to qualify back in '93 against the same opposition. Bresciano's picked up a yellow card for the challenge on Honda. Still a bit more work to do for Australia. They are on the cusp of a famous success. All eyes on Keisuke Honda. Oh, even his magic touch has deserted him.
He's lost his range. Australia have stared down the challenge, and once again they drive that psychological wedge between themselves and Japan.
Under 2 minutes of normal time remaining. Tim Cahill is in a selfless shift, really, playing the lone furrow up front. Japan now desperate to restore parity. They've had a few chances, but Schwarzer has been monumental again in goal for Australia. This is Keisuke Honda looking for the angle. It takes a deflection. That'll be a corner.
Well, he's been their great hope. Keisuke Honda.
We're into the final minute of normal time. Tommy Orr with his first international goal. That's what divides the two teams at the moment. Honda comes in low, appeals for handball there. Oh, penalty! Nawaf Shakrala spotted it immediately. A yellow card for Matt Mackay. More importantly, a penalty for Japan. And I have to say, at first glance, it looked like the right decision, Andy.
Yeah, that's my first reaction. I don't think Australia's had a better player tonight than Matt Mackay. It's been Herculean. But on first viewing, at live speed, I have to agree with the referee. Honda the deliverer. Plenty of time for Matt Mackay to react. Handball.
Yep.
The referee, in fairness to him, has not missed a thing all night. And as we enter stoppage time, of which there will be 3 minutes, it's the cult hero of Japanese football, Keisuke Honda of CSKA Moscow, to put Japan into the World Cup finals in Brazil.
That's pretty much the size of it. And Schwarzer has saved penalties before. Can he pull off the heroics again for the green and gold? In stoppage time in Saitama. One kick for the World Cup for Keisuke Honda and for Japan. Cue delirium in Saitama. Japan are going to Brazil. Well, Mark Schwarzer shakes his head while mayhem goes on all around him. Holger Osik, I can tell you, in the meantime, is going apoplectic in the technical zone. Not much question about the penalty.
No.
Straight down the guts of the goal. Honda with the equaliser.
Well, it's taken an emphatic penalty to beat Mark Schwarzer tonight. Correctly given. Emphatically taken. And on balance, the result that Japan would certainly deserve on the balance of play. It's relief for Zaccaroni. Australia disappointed, so close to 3 points, and now, Simon, they've got to hang on for the 1 point because Japan won't stop.
Tim Cahill's coughed up a free kick. And Saitama prepares to party, courtesy of Keisuke Honda. But Australia still have a job to do here.
Listen to this.
Well, it's wonderful. It's what football is all about at this level. And the game has not disappointed either. It's been terrific stuff. Now Australia have to keep their focus. Lucas Neal sticks out a leg, and it was a crucial intervention. Anywhere will do for Tommy Orr. That's not good enough, really, even at this late stage. Throw in for Japan. The 3 minutes of added time are almost up. Australia are going to make another change. Their second of the game, Robbie Cruz, who is pretty much spent, is going to be replaced for the final few moments by Archie Thompson. I'm sure that's a time-wasting measure as much as anything else.
Actually, it could have been a defender on to waste time. I think Holger Osing is hoping for one more counter-attack. That's how I read it.
Well, time is up by my watch. There might be a little bit more added on for the celebrations following Honda's penalty. And Japan are nearly there. In fact, they are there. In some ways, the perfect result for both teams. A point good enough to take Japan to a 5th straight World Cup. A point, a very useful outcome for Holger Osing, but it just could have been more if they could have hung on for the final few minutes. But Australia will look to finish off the job on home soil against Jordan and Iraq. Japan start their celebrations. Let's hope in a couple of weeks' time the Australians can start theirs. Australia so close to a monumental victory in Saitama. Tommy Orr giving them the lead, but Keisuke Honda's late penalty denying them all 3 points and sending the Samurai Blue onto their 5th World Cup in Brazil next year.
High drama in Saitama, Australia with a brave performance, and after the break we've got analysis from Zrilla and Spider in the studio, plus reaction from the stadium. See you soon.